Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and in today's tutorial let's talk about the takeoff in the iniBuilds A310 as well as the initial climb out. Let's talk about it first and then execute it second. So, for our takeoff, we are going to do a rolling takeoff whenever possible, which is recommended by Airbus. We advance the throttles until both engines reach at least 40% N1. And once stabilized, we are going to press toga, and that is going to advance our throttles all the way to the takeoff position. We have our V-speeds at 135, 136 and 161 marked on the PFD over here, and when we are passing those we will slowly and smoothly rotate the airplane to 12.5 degrees of pitch, and from there on we can follow the flight director pitch command bar from the SRS mode. And the command bar is going to command at least V2 plus 10. With a positive rate indicated on the vertical speed indicator, we are going to retract our landing gear, and we can thereafter engage the autopilot at a minimum altitude of 200 feet already. The thrust reduction is going to happen automatically, but we will have to monitor that it indeed goes into the limit mode of CL, and that the thrust is reduced to climb thrust. Once we are above the acceleration altitude, we are going to retract the flaps and slats according to the flap retraction schedule, and that is on the speed indicator. We will see an F where we are going to order flap 0, and when we accelerate further we are going to see an S, which is the point where we order the slats 0. Once that is completed, we are going into our after takeoff procedure, which is speed brake or spoilers disarmed, landing gear into the off position, packs on, nose and runway turn-off lights off, landing lights are left on until flight level 100. Anti-ice as needed, ignition as needed. We are going to use the continuous mode only when we are encountering severe turbulence, heavy icing or heavy rain. Otherwise, we are going to set it to off. And if the APU was used for departure, we're going to select the APU off, which is then going to be the time to call for the after takeoff checklist. So, let's do that again. 40% N1, press toga, and then we are going to accelerate. At 100 knots, we're going to call out 100 knots. At V1, VR, rotate to 12.5 degrees, and then follow the flight director. With a positive rate, we are going to retract our landing gear, and then we can engage the autopilot if we want to. Finally, the flap retraction schedule. At the F on the speed indicator, we're going to choose flap 0, and at the S, slat 0. So, with all of that reviewed, let's go ahead and see how this airplane actually flies. Timer. %, stabilized. Set takeoff thrust. That is your toga button up there. So, target N1 equals, or actual N1 equals target N1, takeoff thrust set, indications normal. 100 knots, that's your V1 approaching up there, and that is your flap retraction speed. So, V1 rotate, smoothly rotate to 12 degrees, and then follow the flight director. Positive rate, gear up, and let's put the autopilot on. Autopilot 1 is on, verify that on the primary flight display. So over here it says CMD1, 2,500 feet, the speed target increases to 220 knots, and since we are above the F speed already, let's retract our flaps. And once we are passing above the S speed, we are going to retract our slats. Here we are, crossing the S speed, slats 0. And watch how they are retracting over here. And now that the slats are at 0, let's carry out the after takeoff procedure. Spoilers disarmed, landing gear off, packs, verify that they're on, both here and here. Runway turn-off lights and nose lights off, anti-ice as required, ignition off, APU off, after takeoff checklist. And as we're passing through the transition altitude, set the altimeter as standard by clicking the lower part of the speed indicator up here. If you don't use the option to synchronize the different altimeters, make sure that you actually set them as standard on every single of the 3 units. So, after takeoff climb checklist. Slats flaps, retracted, landing gear, up and neutral, packs, on, and altimeters standard set. After takeoff climb checklist complete. So let's go up all the way to cruise level, which is going to be 360. That's set, and 360 checked. The airplane is accelerating nicely to 250 knots. And we note that we do have a speed restriction up here on our departure route of 250 knots. So we are going to maintain that when we are above flight level 100. If we did not have a speed restriction, the airplane would automatically start its acceleration once we are above flight level 100. So we're passing 100 now. So landing lights can go to retract that off. Seatbelts, well, it might be a little bit turbulent in those clouds, so we are just about going to keep our seatbelts on until we have climbed above the clouds. Now, so that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed this one. Next up, we'll talk a little bit about the different autopilot modes, but that is going to be for a different video. I would like to thank you very much for being here today. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment, like and subscribe. And if you really want to support the channel, you can do it through the Buy Me a Coffee link that you can find in the video description below. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.